Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How are we doing? Welcome to the final video for Banned Books Week. I will be reading, I think, 4 books in this video. I'm trying to keep it obtainable because I'm reading trick or treat stuff, and so my reading is already a little bit chaotic, so I'm trying to stay manageable with this one. But it's very hard to narrow down a TBR because there are so many banned books that I just have not got to read yet. And so I was really struggling with figuring out like which books are deemed good enough to read for this one specific video. But I think I've narrowed it down to 4. Primarily audiobooks, just based off availability. There's a chance that I might end up at a bookstore. But I figured for this week I would read Where the Sidewalk Ends because this is an old poetry book that I actually read in elementary school and don't remember well at all, but would like to revisit to see why it's being banned and why people don't agree with a poetry book. The other 2 books that I think I want to get to are The Poet X, which I think is a book told in verse, and I've heard nothing but incredible things about, and the final book I want to read is Mondays and Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson, an author I've read before, have enjoyed before, am curious about this title, have wanted to read it for a while. This is kind of like a third time's a charm with this author. I read Smoke Something, did not like it at all, really detested it actually, and then I read the Carrie retelling, which was A Weight in Blood. Loved that one. That one was so good. So I'm kind of interested to see like these authors' backlist a little bit more and see how I feel about their older works, seeing as I have not read a lot of Tiffany D. Jackson. Grown was another contender, but like I gotta narrow it down. So those are the 4 books that I'm planning to read with you guys in this video and just kind of where I'm at. But I guess we'll talk about the bans and challenges, stats and whatnot as we go on. So yeah, I think that's it for this intro. I think I might read a little bit of Where the Sidewalk Ends tonight. I have the ebook from Libby. Thank you, libraries. I will be getting Mondays Not Coming and The Poet X in audiobook form from Libby, and I will let you guys know the updates and what's going on when I have some. So I read Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein, and this I thought this was gonna be like a nice little like palate cleanser, if you will. Like I was reading 2 heavier topic books, so I wanted something a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to digest and read. And unfortunately, this nostalgia did not quite take me away as much as I would hope, because I was really thinking that like I was gonna get so many flashbacks to elementary school and how good the times were and like reading this and how much I enjoyed it back then. And I don't know if I actually enjoyed it back then as much as I thought I did. Maybe because I'm not a kid. I don't find these poems as humorous or as interesting or as good. Just unfortunately, this was not a poetry book that I thought was good. It's not a collection that I cared about. I think the drawings, although kind of creepy, are fun, but I did not love a whole lot of these poems. There was like 2, maybe 3 that I was like, nice. But other than that, I was like, these are like, I skimmed a few of them. I was just like not that interested. Some of the poetry didn't have good rhyme schemes or cadence, and that might have been a me problem. But I was just like, about it a lot, which is kind of unfortunate. But overall, I read it, and I don't feel like rating it. It wasn't for me. I prefer a little bit more mature or adult poetry, I think, but this has been banned. It came out so long ago. This is way older than I thought it was, which I guess makes sense because I, again, read it in elementary school a lot. There's themes of rebellion, there's themes of, like, anti-authority, and there's inappropriate content because, like, cannibalism or just dark and taboo topics. I didn't feel like anything was, like, that deep or that dark. And if your kid is reading it and thinking like this is not comedy but this is reality or truth or something that I should feel is serious, then that's a conversation to have with a kid maybe. But I don't think these are meant to be taken super literal or serious whatsoever. I think they're just kind of a goofy, silly thing. So I think that's why they didn't work for me, because they're not so serious of poems. But there's a few that are actually like stick with people. There's a few poems that like really resonate with people at that time and have stuck with them over periods. So I don't want to like discredit the book at all, but it definitely wasn't one of my favorites. So I don't really have a lot of opinions on it. I don't think it should be banned, of course, but like I didn't care for them. And maybe again, that's just because I'm now an adult. So that's my very short little review. Unfortunately, I didn't really care. I didn't really love it a whole lot. So bummer, but is what it is, you know? So I mentioned that I finished The Poet X a bit earlier, and oh, it is really good. I really appreciate that the author is the one who narrates the book, because after reading poetry recently, I learned that I really struggle with picking up on the right cadence for poetry and knowing like the right way it's supposed to be said for it to have like the rhyme scheme. And I think that's really important for it to like sound correct and sound good and make more sense. So I really appreciated the audiobook experience. I think that was definitely the way to go. It's 4 hours-ish long, so it's definitely an easy pickup, but obviously is like dealing with some difficult topics. We are following our main character, and she basically uses poetry as kind of an escape from her life, from what's going on. And I think that's like a really powerful message, and I really enjoyed the moments of poetry. The ending was seriously so good. Like, I really enjoyed the ending. Also, because the author is narrating, you get both of the endings, kind of, because it's a type of poem that you could read 2 different ways, and so I appreciate that we got to hear both ways that it could be read, because sometimes audiobooks don't always do that for you. But overall, I really enjoyed the conversations in this. I really enjoyed just listening and the experience of it. I found it not too heavy, but impactful. I really liked our character as a young girl to follow, and just the way that she was exploring life and trying to figure things out for herself. Big reason why this book is being banned is because of its anti-Christian of it, because they're Catholic, and she at the end resonates on like how she won't be the same type of religious as her mom or her brother. She has a twin brother. I really appreciate that she's like, it's not that I'm not a believer, but it's gonna look different, and I might not be as strong in my faith as my family, but it's still something that I'm like, it's still a part of me. But I think it's kind of silly to be mad at a book because you're challenging the beliefs that you're being raised with, or challenging the way that your parents are treating you because of their faith, and not feeling the most accepted or loved in a religious setting, like not necessarily always trusting the church or community around you, and just needing to explore that on your own. I think it's very common for Christians, especially Christians who are raised very much in the church, to have a moment of rebellion, to step away, and they'll either come back to the faith or they won't. But like, to be mad at a book for experiencing something that so many people go through is just silly. And then there's also like the way that the sexual content in this book, talking about sexuality and sex, and I didn't think it was like that bad. I thought it was very age appropriate. Like, her twin brother is gay, and it's not like there's no like graphic scenes of anything. Our main character is seemingly straight and therefore like is into boys, but it's not like a focus of the book. It's not anything further than like what a kid would normally think about. Like, I thought it was pretty age appropriate. I never felt weird about it, and like I read some like insane smut stuff, so like I just don't think people understand maybe what's actually age appropriate for kids, and I think that's why we should leave books in the hands of experts and professionals whose jobs are to learn and read books and know what books are going to be age appropriate or not, and know like what is acceptable to be in a library, rather than a bunch of parents. But But Elizabeth Acevedo has stated that if her books are banned, it means people are scared to discuss the unflinching, honest subjects within them. And I think that there could not be more true words said. I think that this author, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this author does talk about and fight book bans and challenges. So I always appreciate authors who really step up to the plate. Like, obviously they don't have to, it is not their job, but when they take the initiative and try and do what they can to fight school boards or to like have conversations and talk about their books being banned, I think it's really important, and I love when that happens. So yeah, overall, I think this is like a solid 4-star book. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it. I really enjoyed that it was told in verse and having like a different style of storytelling, because it's not very often that I pick up poetry, let alone like a novel told in verse, but I always think that they're very cool. I love poetry. I wish that I stuck with it. Had a lot of middle school poetry classes, and I would say, you know, for a middle schooler who has no real perception of the things around her, I thought I was pretty good. So I kind of wish that I'd stuck with it, because since a couple years ago, I started getting back into reading poetry, and I'm like, I wish that I could do it, but like I just don't have the creative juices that I used to, and I just have more fear of putting word to page. So I want to get over that. I want to start writing more poetry again, even if it's just like privately for myself. I think that would be fun. So anyways, that's my review of The Poet X. I really enjoyed it, and I had a good time with it, and I do highly recommend it. For any of those who might have been at sprints, my spider bites are healing well. I'm not poisoned, and I'm also not Spider-Man. But with that said, the reason I'm checking in is because I am, I think, 45% into Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. So I wanted to kind of get some of my initial thoughts, halfway thoughts. This is a hard read. It's difficult. It's a little bit hard to stomach. In this, we are following Claudia and her best friend Monday. And Monday has gone missing. The adults don't seem to be that concerned about her and are just saying that she's with her mom being homeschooled, or she's with her dad, or she's with her aunt. Nobody seemingly remembers the last time that they saw Monday, and it's just something's a little fishy going on. And Claudia, of course, being the bestest of best friends, is the only one who's really looking for Monday. There's definitely like some hints that something maybe a little nefarious or not good is going on with Monday. I don't think it's hard to kind of come to the conclusion, but it doesn't seem like adults really are that bothered by Monday not being at school or not calling Claudia or anything. Claudia at one point goes to like a police station and is like, hey, I don't trust the social workers, and I'm wondering like if you could do a welfare check on my friend. Like she's gone missing, I don't know. And this is set in DC, so the cops just, like, point to a board or, like, are any of these missing black girls your friend? And she's like, well, no. And they're like, well, we have, like, other people that are actively missing that we have to find, so we don't have time and energy to find your friend, basically. Oh, and it's just so heartbreaking, like, seeing Claudia. We're getting before and after chapters, and it's a little bit confusing to follow. I think the narrator kind of helps ease you into it and, like, guide you, but you are getting before, after, you're getting months, and it's very hard and sad at a lot of times, but one of the things that I feel bad for Claudia, because she's just like showing us these really sweet and tender moments, but also some of the hard moments between this very strong friendship, almost sisterhood kind of relationship, and how close they were and how much they cared for each other, but also like now not being together, how much harder life kind of has become for Claudia, where she was a little bit dependent on Monday helping her. Like, it seems like Claudia might be dyslexic and is having issues with school and homework and stuff, and so it's just kind of hard to read. It's just sad. They're middle schoolers, I believe. They keep talking about going to like this very hard to get into high school, which I guess like maybe in DC that's a thing. That was not a thing here, but they're talking about going into high school and like what it's gonna be like, and Monday starting to like boys, and it's just the undertone of clearly things are really bad for Monday, and Claudia being too young to really recognize the warning signs is hard. But it is well written. I think it's good. I don't think Tiffany D. Jackson necessarily writes bad things. I mentioned in the intro that I've read one book that I really enjoyed and one book I really didn't enjoy. This one is probably more similar to White Smoke, but has some influences similar to A Weight in Blood, like the bullying and stuff, but similar to White Smoke because it's like having conversations on gentrification in DC and like people getting kind of kicked out of their homes because they want to repair, like tear everything down. Like instead of hiring people to go fix the toilets, they just kind of want to kick everybody out and like sell to affluent white people. And so yeah, it's just there's a lot of good discussions going on in this book. I think that it makes sense why people would want to ban this, because it's just opening a lot of doors and conversations that people don't want to have. Like, it's obviously hard to read, and I think that it's definitely like at an age level that I think a middle school or a high school could easily pick this up and like get a lot out of it. It's not necessarily going to be harmful to them. I don't think that they would read this and go, oh, well, I simply must think about boys and kissing them too. It's like Monday gets a little boy crazy in comparison to Claudia, but Claudia's not really the same way, at least not yet. And so I don't agree with shying away from having conversations about child abuse or showing like some intimate scenes on page. Like, I think showing somebody who's getting bullied in school is important just as much as I think kids seeing some of the warning signs of maybe like their friend is being abused, or if a child, heaven forbids, is being abused, being able to pick up a book and seeing somebody that is similar to them and a character and having maybe options or resources of like how they could go about it, who could be a trusted adult they could tell. Like, I think that this is more important for kids to have access to. I know I'm preaching to the choir of like, we shouldn't be banning books for these reasons, but I just think it's a little bit silly for this one to be banned. I know primarily it's being banned because Tiffany D. Jackson is a Black author and is writing about things like gentrification, which I don't think I knew what that was in middle school. So I do think that this book could probably teach a lot of people and also help a lot of people. At the end of the day, I don't agree. I think this is very much age appropriate. I don't think that it's doing anything that's wrong, but that's kind of my halfway check-in. I'm planning to finish it tomorrow, and I think I'll also probably knock out everything else tomorrow just because it's my day off, so I'll have some time. But I'll listen to The Poet X. I'll finish Where the Sidewalk Ends. I've been making progress in that. Boy, oh boy. I have not read it since elementary school, literally. And it's interesting. It's a time. But yeah, I'll talk about that tomorrow as well. I will see you guys then. Well, I finished. This book really knows how to just stab you in the heart. Like, you know it's coming. You know what's happening. Especially if you're a little bit more mature and you've, like, read books like this or had conversations or seen this around the world a bit more. You kind of know what's going on before the main character does. And so it's really just leading up to her finding out what happened to Monday. And, ow. Oh, it's so sad. It hurts so bad. But it's really good. I always find it a little bit challenging to review books that are more hard-hitting in topic because I am really bad with vocabulary recall, and I also have dyslexia, so it's nice seeing a character who struggles with reading and writing and is like able to practice it and get better, which is something that I've been doing over the years. But my vocab recall isn't always great, and I get nervous and I have anxiety, and so when I'm talking to a camera, I'm like, what's the word? And so instead of trying to think of a word and giving myself time and grace for that, I often will just say the same few vocabulary words that like I know make sense and work in the context. And I've been working on it lately, so applaud to me by myself. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because often when I review books, I like to say things like, it's fun, I had a good time. And hard-hitting books like these, I'll still say that same phrase of, it was good, I had a good time, it was fun. And that's just not the reality of reading these hard-hitting books. Like, obviously, it's good, but it's not fun. It's not like you're having a hee-hee, ha-ha time like I would maybe a romantasy. But even in a romantasy, like, there's still hard times in those books that, like, make me feel emotion. And sometimes I'm really bad at expressing and explaining those emotions in words. But we're gonna try, because Monday's Not Coming is so well done because of the way that we're getting the timeline and the reveal at the end that I did not see coming. And I know some people, I've read a couple reviews where people were like, didn't like the ending, thought that the ending kind of cheapened the book, or that the first half is really slow. And I do agree that the first half is slow because nothing's really happening except for like she's questioning things. But as we go on, we start to get more answers. We see more of what's happening in the current timeline. And although I agree with that, I also think that it's really important to show just the more mundane moments of Claudia going to her first sleepover and going to her first like party and having these small moments. And once you especially get the reveal towards the end, it's like, oh my goodness, no way, like this is happening. And I get people, again, don't like the way that it ends, but I honestly thought that was really fascinating and a really interesting way of portraying grief. So yeah, I really like this. I have no idea what I'm rating it. I don't know if it's going to be a 4 or if it's a 5. It's one of those things where like I'm obviously not the targeted audience. I'm a full-grown adult at this point. But I still think that this is incredibly important of a read. And so I pulled up reasons for bans and challenges. The main thing being that it tackles sensitive content, and people, I guess, disagree with that. One thing, though, that point like really stuck out was the fear of reality. Some adults argue that young adults should not be exposed to these harsh realities, and some believes that this like books like these could be what helps change society, like have more kids, you know, speak up and like feel like they have a safe place to talk about what's going on with them at home and whatnot. But also a big thing is that this has racial and social issues because it's talking about the way that Black or children of color in general is very common with the Indigenous population, and how people of color, young girls go missing, and there's just not attention on it. As somebody who dabbles every once in a while in some true crime like podcasts, Kendall Ray is one that I enjoy, because I think that it's nice that she works with the family. She gives grants to people. She often mentions how she'll talk about a case following a missing white girl and how the cops within 24 hours are on the case with a team full effect. And she'll have next week a conversation about how a Hispanic girl that goes missing and she does not get the same 24 hours because it's assumed that, she probably just ran away, rather than going missing when the first 24 hours are the most crucial. So I just think that this book enlightens a lot of things that adults don't want to even accept themselves. And also, like, although this is a hard book to read, it's not a book that's taught in like a curriculum. It's just a book that somebody can pick up and read by themselves, and having access to it in the library, which is also a key moment in this, where Monday is checking out books at a library that have been banned, Flowers in the Attic being one of them, and that book has been banned because of its themes, which I get. It's a dark book. I think might be a little bit more adult, but Monday has that as an outlet of similarities to her actual life. And I think that, honestly, like, that whole moment of her going to the library and being like, look at the books that she's checking out, look at the themes that are being displayed in a pattern, and what that might mean for our characters. Like, I think that alone kind of expresses why it's important for kids to have access to these kinds of books. So with all of that said, I really enjoyed Monday's Not Coming. It is a very hard read, so make sure you're in the right headspace if you're going to pick it up. And obviously this book came out a while ago, so I'm kind of late to the party anyway, but I do really recommend it. It is a very good read. It's very hard-hitting. It has a lot of important conversations, but also a lot of more, I guess, joyous moments. There's room for levity where it's not so heavy all the time. Like, yeah, Monday is always in the background, and you're never going to forget that she's missing. You're never going to forget that that's the direction that we're heading in, is a reveal, is finding out what happened to her. But Claudia still gets moments with other characters where you see her trying to fit in and get bullied a little bit less, and finding her own community and how important that is for her. So I do think there's good and sad moments in this mixed throughout, but I do recommend it. I think it's very good. I'm very happy that I finally read it. I definitely think for the most part that Tiffany D. Jackson is obviously a very good author, and I do want to pick up Grown, but I'm definitely interested in picking up more from her, because White Smoke didn't work for me, but the rest of them so far have been wins. So I'm intrigued to see more of her works. I'm excited to see her grow as an author and her just keep releasing stuff that I think is really important, and fighting all of these stupid challenges if possible. But yeah, I do recommend Tiffany D. Jackson just as an author as a whole. I think The Weight of Blood is one of like my favorite young adult horrors that I've read in a really long time. The audiobook production is so fun, so I definitely recommend that as well. So that is it for this Banned Books Week vlog. Why is it so hard for me to say Banned Books Week? I don't get it. It's not hard, but I struggle. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this little snippet of a video. Happy Banned Books Week. It's almost coming to a close. On the 11th, it'll be over, but I think even when it ends, we should keep talking about it, keep supporting your libraries, keep supporting authors who are being banned and challenged. Do whatever you can to prevent censorship if you're able. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.